Oh, big day on FT. It's Braun, it's Kratz, and it's the real AJ Pierzynski. You know how some people do that on social media? This is the real AJ Pierzynski. Why do I say that? Because he jumped out of a plane this morning. So I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that he made it in one piece. He seems fine. Let's hear how he talks. How are you? How did it go?
I mean, listen, I wasn't definitely on something high on my list of doing things. Like people are like, oh, this is a bucket list item. It wasn't that. It was more of I talk trash to the wrong people and they're like, oh, you want to do this? Okay, you're doing this. And so I couldn't back out. So I'm here at Folds of Honor. It's obviously Veterans Day. I'm at a golf tournament for Folds of Honor. And the least I could do is, I mean, I jumped out with a Navy SEAL as Johnny Damon is pointing at me, my old high school buddy.
Wow.
But yeah, that's me coming in. That's me coming into the 18th fairway. Knees up, Kratz. Knees up, knees up, knees up. Slide on the butt.
Coming in hot.
Yeah, he was coming in hot.
Wow. How close were you to backing out? Like you said, you were never? Okay.
You know why? Because I was never nervous. I never got nervous at all. I never was scared. I never was nervous until you're in the plane, you're 10,000 plus feet up, and there's a line. There was like 9 of us and there was 2 benches of people, and the first 2, they opened the door, and then you're like, I'm really jumping out of a perfectly good airplane, and I can't stop it. But at that point, I can't stop it. What am I going to tell? I'm going to tell the Navy SEAL strapped to my back, hey, by the way, the Shep Rose, who was on Southern Charm, was the other celebrity that was jumping. He was sitting next to me, right? The guy who was strapped on his back got shot across the bridge of the nose, right, in combat. What am I going to tell him? I'm scared to jump out of a plane, by the way. Navy SEAL strapped to my back. Hey, by the way, you guys were willing to die for me. No, I won't jump out of the plane with you guys. So, I mean, there was no like backing out. And look, the guy's on your back and you're just like this. And he goes in, out, out we go. And next thing you know, there's a camera lady like in your face, like 5, I mean, I don't know. It seemed like she was 2 feet away. She obviously was farther away. And you're I wish I would have done the Tom Brady, got all the fat cut out of my face. We're going down. Right? And next thing you know, there we are. And then all of a sudden the chute rips and kind of gets you down in the nether regions a little bit. And then you float down. And then the guy thought it would be funny to start doing corkscrews while we're the parachute. He's like, watch this. I'm like, no, I already made it. Let's stop that. Okay. Let's just get on down to the ground safely.
Damn. So if you get motion sickness, maybe you should think twice about it.
No, because there was no. So the one thing I'll say is people think like it's like a roller coaster, right? Where your like stomach goes from here. It's not like that. Once you're out, it's just, you're just in the breeze and you're just going and there's no like stomach to your throat. I mean, you're just going. And then when they pull the ripcord, it's just like you're just floating on down. It was well worth it. Awesome. I highly recommend it, especially if you can jump with a Navy SEAL strap to your back. It's makes you feel a little bit safer.
You know,
he said you're just in the breeze.
Yeah,
you ain't never gonna face breeze like that again. Not even in Florida. Not even in the hurricanes. That's a breeze for sure.
The best bucket list items in AJ's life, or at least some of them, are when he starts talking trash and all of a sudden he finds himself jumping off a plane with.
Yeah, that's how it happens. So my buddy Larry Robinson, who's a big deal at Folds of Honor, remember when I went out to the helicopter and did the helicopter out in Coronado in March, and he's a big deal at Folds of Honor, and he'd been talking trash to me at this golf tournament for the last couple of years, like, or actually he's like, oh, you want to jump? And I'm like, yeah, I'll jump. Let's go. I'll do it. Never thinking like the time would come. And he texts me on like a Monday, let's say a Monday of this week, and goes, oh, guess what? You and Boots, you guys are going together. And I'm like, wait, what? And he says, yeah, Folds of Honor next Monday, you and Boots out of the plane. You said you wanted to do it. It's your turn. And I was like, didn't have this on my bingo card for the year, but okay, let's go. So sometimes you talk trash, you get called on it, and you got to respond.
Yeah, and you get a great life experience out of it. So more from the tournament that AJ's at, and yes, honoring veterans today too. We'll talk more about that, but we have some guests lined up from the event, including Joe Mauer. Before that, we're going to talk to Perry Minasian. We're also going to ask him about this player of the day. Yes.
Let's just pray the golf gets done, because I left with about 8 holes to go. and Joe was in the group behind me, so he's got about 7 to 8 holes to go. Joe, Griffey, I think Sheffield, we're trying to grab. So if they get done in time, so let's pray that they get done in time, and if not, we'll get Joe another time. But hopefully, right now they get done in time and they're here.
Speed golf, pitch clock, shot clock, whatever they want to call it. Please speed it up. And in the meantime, let's get to posting systems with Roki Sasaki letting loose. Charging the mound. It's crazy. I felt like we were talking about it a lot. It was cool, but then it was going to go away just based on the financial hit his OG team, the Marines out in Japan, was going to take by letting him post. But here we are on the weekend, classic MLB news hit. It's like 2:30 in the morning on late Friday night or early Saturday morning, whatever you want to technically call it. Roki Sasaki is reportedly coming to Major League Baseball during one of these posting system processes before the 2025 season. Might be in the next couple weeks, might not be until January, where teams have a little bit more money for their bonuses that they hand out. But either way, he's going to receive single-digit millions, most likely, on a bonus to come over and be a minor league free agent and sign with an MLB ball club. There are tons of videos and segments that we've done in the past week, and we're going to do many more this week to document the story, talk about his stuff. We did a little segment with Lance Brostowski last week. We got a lot more, so you can look it up on our YouTube channel. But let's start here. So AJ, Roki Sasaki, who perhaps has the best pure talent of any pitcher on earth, this tweet from Bob Nightingale, saying that he's officially going to be posted. Not posted yet, but will be posted soon. And he said 30 teams will try to sign him. 30 teams also believe he's going to sign with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Your thoughts?
I mean, best pure talent of any pitcher on earth, that's a big statement. I mean, there's a lot of guys with a lot of pure talent on earth. So, yeah, that's one thing in that tweet that I disagree with. But, yeah, he's talented as all hell. His velo was down 2 miles an hour, though, this year, so that should scare, like, every team away except for the Dodgers. But, I mean, it seems like a foregone conclusion he's going to sign with the Dodgers. I don't love that. I hope there's more of a bidding war and a sweepstakes for this guy because I want to see where he could end up and what he could do. But I think this guy's uber talented. I think this guy has a chance to be special in Major League Baseball, and let's see what happens.
I want to see a presentation war because there's not really going to be a bidding war because, one, the Dodgers would win that if that was possible. Two, it's really capped with whatever, it's going to max out whatever they're allowed with their international pool bonus. But I want to see these presentations. What are you going to do if you're not the Dodgers to get Roki Sasaki to come to play for your team? Because he's signing a minor league deal. What they have to sell him on the next 6 years with that organization.
I want to also present the differences here. Yoshinobu Yamamoto came to the States last year as a free agent, signing for about $325 million with a posting fee at about $51 million. So it cost the Dodgers about $376 million. This guy is going to cost a team like 10 between what he gets and the posting fee.
But why did Yamamoto get $300 million? And
it's all about age.
So it's all about how old you are?
Yes, you have to be 25, and Sasaki's 23. So if you come over here when you're 25 plus, you're a free agent, a normal major league free agent. Right now, this guy's a minor league free agent at 23 years old. So the bidding war is severely capped, severely limited, which in theory opens this up to all teams. But in actuality, I actually think it hurts the free agent situation. Because think about it. Now, if you're a Japanese player, there are some teams that are favored. In this particular window of baseball right now, you have Ohtani and Yamamoto on the same team coming off a World Series championship. They're not the only players that are coming over from Japan, but I also think the old days of a player wanting to be on his own team from Japan and not be with Japanese teammates are over for the most case. I think this next generation actually likes the fact that he can go play with the legends in Japan right now. Darvish fits that bill too. And we had a good conversation in the chat on Fair Territory when Alana Rizzo was talking to Kyle Glazer. And that's also a really, really well worth your time show to watch later on about Sasaki and getting posted. And here's JJ Cooper talking about how you can also get an extra first round pick if he ends up as a rookie of the year. But anyway, Kratz, to me, you've seen tons of reports from insiders already thinking that he's kind of got it in his head that he wants to go to LA. He's a huge Darvish fan growing up. I think they're friends. People have seen him wear a Padres jersey. So For me, I still weight it as like 90 something % Dodgers, maybe a point or two to the Padres, and just about nothing to the rest of the field. This dude is signing most likely on the West Coast with one of the heavy hitters, and it's hard to not see him signing with Japan's team. Like, the Dodgers are Japan's team. Clear cut. I mean, there's players right now who have been interviewed in the past week who said all you see are Dodgers hats and Dodgers shirts now. Yankees shirts, Yankees hats, that's all gone. Everything is about Ohtani and then Yamamoto, of course, to a side degree in Japan. So why wouldn't this guy want to join a potential, quote, super team? Even if they're not winning the World Series every year, it's a super team of Japanese superstars.
Yeah, he's comfortable. He already has people that are there. And to me, we don't know what his desire is. We're just reading reports. We're hearing this stuff. And all I can attest to is Tanaka. When Masahiro Tanaka came to play in the big leagues, he only wanted to play for the Yankees. That's why when he was done, I've said it tons of times on here, he didn't sign with anybody else. The Yankees did not make him an offer. He did not want to play for any other Major League Baseball team. He felt like he could still go back to play in Japan, and that's what he ended up doing. So unless there is some desire for him to be a Cub with the lefty with the
Imanaga?
Cubs. Oh, thank you. Unless he has a connection with Imanaga somehow, or he has a connection somewhere else, I agree with you. I don't see how he doesn't sign with the Dodgers. And if I'm taking the easy money, he's going to sign on the West Coast somewhere. Seattle, the Padres or the Dodgers are my easy top three. I don't even think it's close.
I mean, if you really want to impress me, sign with the Pirates, the Rockies, the White Sox, team like that. Let's go. Let's see how good
he doesn't want to impress you. He doesn't care.
Oh, he doesn't. He just wants to go out there and be on an already proven winner with the rest of them. I mean,
yeah, but think
if
about
he goes
it.
to Cubs, he's got Imanaga and Suzuki. Say a Suzuki already. So, I mean, he'd be
Suzuki's there too.
Does he care about that, or does he care about winning? Also, does he care about arm care? Because this is a guy who I think it was like a high school or some type of championship game through almost 200 pitches, which is insane. Okay. I mean, I know we don't like it when everyone's capped at like 95 pitches, but that's insane. He's already had some arm trouble. I mean, he's had arm/shoulder issue this past year. He hasn't pitched a ton yet. He's 23 years old. Even though the Dodgers have a million pitcher injuries in the past few years, they also are most likely going to go with a 6-man rotation. Yamamoto was an every 6-day guy already. So they can just say, listen, we are an auto 6-man rotation. We're never going to push you too much. And you're going to be in basically a traditional Japanese rotation versus an American rotation. I think Kyle Glazer put it really well on the previous show, Kratz. He said it used to be where Japanese players have to adjust to MLB. And now you have the teams recruiting at their best saying, we'll adjust to you. We'll make sure that you're on the right schedule. The Mets did this also with Kodai Senga, but that's going to appeal. Any team that's like, oh yeah, we want you to pitch 200 innings and be every 5th day is going to be like, see ya.
But AJ, I got to ask you this because you were in the big leagues at 23 years old. What would you have wanted to go to? Would you have wanted to go somewhere where you could make your mark and be the guy who builds this organization up? Not necessarily thinking of Pirates, but another organization where you're the absolute bona fide ace? Or would you rather go somewhere where you got a shot in the next 6 years of winning 2 World Series?
I'd say where I would go if I was a free agent. I'd go wherever the hell the best chance was to get paid and to win. That's it. I want to go where I can get paid and win. That's what it was about.
He can't get paid, so he can't get paid.
He can get paid in marketing money. And where is his best shot at marketing money? With the guys who are getting paid a ton in marketing already. In my mind, okay, I'll give you some conspiracy theory action. I think he has an understanding that if he signs with the Dodgers, in addition to all of the other luxuries, there are brands in Japan that already spend millions of dollars on the Dodgers, on Ohtani, on Yamamoto, that will throw him in. It's almost like NIL collective kind of situation where they're like, oh, we pay Ohtani $5 million for a day to do this commercial. We'll do the same to you, and I know that the money means a lot more to him because he's not making crazy, stupid money until whatever it is, several years from now.
How much did I tell you all that Ohtani made for the Dodgers?
For the Dodgers, 120 million. You
Oh,
said the
I
other.
actually now was given more facts, and it was more than that. So that was an understatement by me. So I apologize. But still, I mean, you throw Yamamoto and you throw Sasaki on there. I mean, did you guys see the ratings for the Japanese media telecast for the World Series when Yamamoto pitched? It was crazy.
More than half the country.
Yeah, it was like 9 a.m. there. Everyone was watching. Now you throw Sasaki in there for the Dodgers. Think about the Japanese marketing they get. They're going to pay $2.5 million for him to get him, and he makes whatever. They don't even care. It's not even about that. It's about how much they can make between those three off the field, and they're going to make so much money. It's going to be crazy. But also, like I look at the Padres. I think the Padres are there because of Darvish influence. Do I think he'll go there? No, but do I think the Dodgers are the favorite? Absolutely. But I'd love for him to pull a surprise and be like, I'm going to the White Sox. It'd be awesome. Go White Sox.
I mean, do you guys think that there's more than a 10% chance he signs anywhere else? Like, how are you weighing the field at this moment? And this is nothing. I mean, people that watch our show, we've seen plenty of comments. You guys favor the Yankees. You guys favor the Dodgers. We favor and disfavor everybody all day, every day. But in reality, I'm just going off what I'm reading and people I've spoken to in the last few weeks. And they're all like, how is he not a Dodger? Right. And those were the same people, Kratz, who said to me, how is he not a Dodger about Yamamoto? And I said, well, if the Mets or Yanks offer more money. And they're like, well, they can match the money. So they were like, yes, if the Mets offer $50 million more, then Yamamoto will sign there. Maybe, he goes, but otherwise he's a Dodger. So in this case, it's even simpler because anyone can sign Roki Sasaki. He's not going to cost that much for a while. So you start to think about other things. Do you see any case here where the field has a chance?
The only way is if some team presents him with this like formula to not get hurt. And you sit there and not that they're going to slam the Dodgers, but well, you know, that organization, if you go there, they have this many pitching injuries. You know, we have a formula, but I mean, you're talking about, you're talking about pipe dream fantasy stuff.
Yeah, I don't see it. I mean, hoping to hear from someone this week who can tell us otherwise, because I'm with you, AJ. I don't care. I don't have a horse in the fight. In fact, I could even make a case that it would be better if he signs with another team. If we're rooting for the sport and we're rooting for cool matchups, it would be fun if he ends up signing with another team. And that could include the Padres.
Sasaki versus Yamamoto, Sasaki versus Darvish. I mean, whoever.
That'd be sick.
I mean, maybe he signs with Arizona and he's like, oh, look, 13 times a year we get Sasaki versus Darvish.
Maybe if he's competitive like that and he wants to be at the top. That's where the Padres have the second best chance in my mind, is you get Darvish back into his career. You get to hang with him every day. Maybe he helps to mentor you as well into becoming a star in America, which he is right now in Japan. And he goes, hey, you want to kick the crap out of the Dodgers and have your own legacy with a team that does care and does try and, spends plenty of money and all of that. So we'll see what happens. But that's where, to me, like, Seattle's going to have a tougher case, where they used to dominate with that marketplace. I mean, they have not put consistent winning teams together. They actually do have a good rotation, but they also publicly tell everyone how they can't spend that much money. So why would I want to sign there if I feel like the team's not going to support me in the same way and there hasn't been a lot of playoff success? So anyway, all right, let's step aside. We're supposed to talk to Perry Minasian, the GM of the Angels, and we'll ask him about this.
By the way, before we go to break, yeah. I'll sign a ball for you too if you can tell me who this is in the picture over my shoulder.
John Daly?
No. Payne Stewart.
Oh my gosh. All right. Anyone in the chat, I'll give you a signed ball if you can. First person in the chat tells me who this is, because these two fools are dumb.
Right, Freddie Couples.
That one.
Podrick Harrington.
You're just going to lay out any golfer that you know? I only know a few, so it ain't going to be me. But
John
if you're
Daly.
in the YouTube chat, subscribe.
I know it's not John Daly. I knew that.
John Daly on Ozempic. All right, we'll be right back. Hey, shout out to America's #1 meal kit. It's that time of year. It's busy. It's getting a little chilly depending on where you are in the country. And you might even get a little bit lazy this time of year. Not you necessarily, AJ or Kratz, but what about somebody that's
It's
You
hot.
do get lazy this time of year?
Oh,
It's
hot as
hot.
clear.
Well, it's hot in Florida, I know, but other places are actually starting to feel a little chilly, and they might say, Kratz, you know what? It's 40 degrees. I don't really feel like going to the grocery store. So could I just make a few clicks online and pick out my own meals to be sent for the fam? Or even one step beyond that, where HelloFresh knows what you want and they can give you recommendations and just send it for you. So all you do is sign up initially, and then boom, you get the meals each week.
Just slowly go through all 50 meals that they offer. You'll forget 50 days later that you just had this. Like most people run through if they're cooking at home, they run through every week, every Tuesday we have tacos, or every other Tuesday we have tacos, or we have pizza on Fridays. HelloFresh, you're talking 50 days, a month and a half.
Wait, I'm going to stop you. That it goes even further than that, because the menu's always at 50, but it's a changing menu of 50. So there's actually hundreds of combinations. Okay. I'm glad you brought that up. So if someone's like, oh, I'll get bored on day 51. Well, you won't, because you can go even further than that with different meals. So go check it out. HelloFresh.com/freeFT. New subscribers get not 1, not 5, not 8, not 9, but 10 free meals. You can hit that QR code as well. It's HelloFresh.com/freeFT. And you can check out applied across 7 boxes, your way to get 10 free meals. New subscribers only. It varies by plan. It's 10 free HelloFresh meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/freeFT. That is like the classic 80s, 90s music where you're doing cool things and they're just showing a montage, and Juan Soto's all over the country at different MLB ballparks. But here's the latest update on Soto. So we covered him on Friday, Kratz, with the Steve Cohen meeting and the Mets meeting that's going down in California this week. And immediately the Yankees see the discussion on FT, and you get one of these. Yeah, we're going to have to set up a meeting as well, even though he really knows us. We've spent the entire year, but we get last dibs. So please set up a meeting, Mr. Boris, with the Yankees brass. Thank you very much.
I mean, why not? Why not? I mean, he was there the whole year. They couldn't have talked to him during the year, telling him exactly how they felt. Got to be in. Everybody else should be standing in a line, like waiting for a hot dog at the hot dog vendor, just waiting. Who's next? Next.
Yeah, but how many teams are really going to make a pitch if they don't have the dollars to shed? Like, to me, AJ, I think most teams should save it now. Okay, so we talked last week, for example, about San Francisco and Chicago. I mean, they literally can't afford him based on the reports that came out. So why are you going to make a pitch?
Why not? Maybe you never know. Maybe you sign him for $2 million like they did with Shohei.
And defer it until 3,080 and just hope that maybe we're on Mars by then? Like, what's the plan here?
Try it. Why not? If you would have gone to 29 other teams, said Shohei will take $2 million and defer $68 million for 9 years, most teams would have taken that deal. But he only went to the Dodgers with that deal. And Soto Boris doesn't normally do that, so it's going to be different. But by the way, that's Nick Price. Schumann, you win.
Schumann, congrats. Send me a DM on Instagram to Foul Territories IG, please. With your address.
Foul Territory will get you a signed ball from Kratz. Nobody wants that. I'm kidding.
Nobody wants. That's a BP baseball.
AJ signed baseball from midair during his flight when he jumped off.
But anyway. Listen. I don't know where Soto's going to go. I mean, it seems like he's got all the big big fish in there. I mean, it seems like it's going to be New York Mets or Yankees. But, if the Giants jump in, if the Dodgers jump in, if the Cubs jump in, Blue Jays jump in, who knows what they might come up with.
Why not raise the price? If you're the Phillies, I get it. You don't have a legitimate shot at them. Why not raise the price? You know how Boris works. Boris is taking everybody's offers and going back to those teams. And then they're going to come back to you. And it's just, it's a pissing match. Obviously, you don't want to be caught in an auction, the old auction where you're holding up your number just to bid the price up for someone else. And all of a sudden you get caught with like some pottery you don't want. But it's for a good cause. It's what's the worst that can happen? You bid up Juan Soto and then you go and win a World Series? Just saying.
Is it best to go last in your pitch if you're the Yankees? Also, I'm just going to clear the decks here and say it's the Mets or the Yanks. The outside chance in my mind is maybe a team like Philadelphia. No. Who's number three? Who's number three?
Dodgers.
I don't see it. So, okay. I've got Mets or Yankees by far making the two best offers. Everything else is just foo-foo. So is it best for the Yankees to swoop in second? Because I also think there's a legit chance that the Mets destroy the Yankees offer. I think there is a chance that the Mets have more payroll flexibility and Steve Cohen does not care about losing money on his team on a year-to-year basis, in the sense that overall his franchise valuation is going to go up. You guys don't see that? You don't see a scenario where the Yankees finish at 530 and the Mets go to 600?
Here's the biggest problem I have with this whole situation. Shohei Ohtani made a bunch of money for the team he signed with. Juan Soto's not going to generate the same money. I'm sorry. I don't know. I mean, people are saying he's going to get what Shohei got. And listen, I hope he gets every dollar that he can get. But man, it's just hard for me as a person looking at it from the outside to say Juan Soto's never won an MVP. Juan Soto's, he won the World Series in 2019. But gosh, I just don't know that there's a team out there other than the Mets that's going to say, man, here's $700 million, $600 million, $500, whatever the number might be. It's just really hard for me to find that team because, again, you're paying for a guy who's been a great player, but is he worth more than Ohtani's worth to me?
Yes.
This is just me personally. No, he's not.
No. I don't think he's worth more than Ohtani, but to answer your prior question, it is a guarantee that he is going to do better than Ohtani's present day contract, which was, let's say, if you want to go on the high end, the value at 465-ish mil. Juan Soto is getting, at least in my mind, $500 million. The only way he doesn't is if he says, I want to break the average annual value record, which I think for Ohtani is in the 46 million. So say, because there's a few different numbers that people have for how much the present day contract is worth. But say the 460, so he's at about $46 million a year. And Soto says, I want to do 50. The problem with that is you're going to crush the team's luxury tax number. And so it not only means the team has to pay more money on the dollar as they continue to go over that number, but they also get penalized, draft picks, international bonus money. It's a real pain. So in my mind, here's what's going to happen. Soto's going to say, I want to crush the present day overall money value of a contract, just like Harper did back in the day, right? And they spread that over a long period of time. I think Soto is going to do the same thing. So it could end up looking like a 14, 15-year deal and be in the mid 30s, right? It could be like $35 million a year, but you're getting yourself into the 500 millions on present day value. That's how I see it. Kratz, what do you think?
No, I completely agree. I just think there is a way back to the whole a way. Why would another team get in on it? Because we don't know what those things are. You just mentioned two different options of what he wants. Does he want to break the average annual value, or does he want to break the overall contract present day value? And I think there might be a niche for certain teams to get in there, and teams that have openly said we're okay breaking that, breaking through that last luxury tax. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what
I think
what
this
that
is
pitch
easy.
is.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is easy, Kratz. It's just it's Mets or Yanks, and let the highest bid win. It's that
But if you're
simple.
another team, you can't let it be just Mets and Yanks. Even if you don't think you have a shot, you can't let it be just Mets and Yanks.
The reason I'm saying that is because I don't think other teams are going to go to $500+ million for a player like this. And sure, AJ's reasoning does play into it. Is Juan Soto going to generate you crazy amounts of marketing money from other companies, and especially Japanese companies? Obviously not. He's not going to generate any of that for you. You're signing this guy for what he's doing on the field. You're signing him because you say, I think he has 8 years left of being a top 5 hitter in the sport. And that to me is worth 50 something $1 million. So instead, I'm going to give him a contract that's worth double the years so I can spread the money out and not get completely annihilated by a luxury tax number that frankly is way too low. It got negotiated at such a low number that the higher end teams are signing guys for long periods of time. Trey Turner, how's Trey Turner going to look when he's like 40? That's what his contract runs into. That contract was signed because the Phillies get to spread the money. It's not a secret. The same thing's going to happen here with Juan Soto, and there's 2 teams that can do it. It's the Mets or the Yanks. And I actually think, Derek, our host over at Pinstripe Territory, brought up a point in our little group chat right now, and he said, Hal is going to say to him, do you want to be a Yankee? And if the answer is anything but an emphatic yes, he will walk away. But my answer would be if I'm Soto, my answer is an emphatic yes, but also I want market value. And the market might say the Mets are offering me 500 something $1 million. And if the Yankees say we can't offer you that much, then do you really want me to be a Yankee? Because I know you can afford me at the price that the Mets are going to throw out there. But the Mets, I think, are going to be more ballsy about it. That's my prediction. If the Mets really want him, they're going to get him because I think the Yankees have a hard stop, and I don't think the Mets do. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're not wrong. The problem is I just don't know that he's worth it. And I mean, I might get a call from Scott Boras saying this later, but to me, there was one guy that was worth this, and it was Shohei, because he pitches, he hits, he's won MVPs, he now has a World Series, and the marketing money you generate off of his name is unlike no other. He is a unicorn, and that's why I thought he was worth it. I've said this for a long time. I don't know that Soto is worth it. Now, that doesn't mean a team doesn't think he's worth it, but to me, I mean, do I see a 10-year 400, something like that? Yeah, but I don't know that I see a 10-year, 12-year 500, 600 million, because it just is so much to give up for one player. I mean, the Angels were stuck with Pujols for a long time. Pujols was a good player, but they're stuck with him, and just see a lot of these contracts, and when they get to the back end, they're just not worth what they were, and it kind of handcuffs you as an organization. Now, do the Mets care? I don't know. Do the Yankees care? The Yankees have shown a propensity to care a lot more because they have Judge, they have Cole, and they have Stanton. Those are already 3 gigantic deals that they have on tap. You throw in Soto, there's 4. Does it handcuff the rest of your organization? That's the big question mark you have to answer.
Yeah, Rodon's pretty big too in terms of what he's getting paid over the next several years. I know there's some conversation in the chat about marketing money that he could initiate from Dominican Republic or other Latin American countries. Just being totally realistic on business, that doesn't operate like that. It's not even close. Japanese companies have a ton of money in marketing dollars for baseball players. We have not seen the same type of business come from Latin America. Is there some? Sure, but it's not even in the same stratosphere as Japan. That's a fact. It's a hard fact. So something to keep in mind. For me, I don't disagree with you guys on the value he's going to bring outside of the field. Although if he does bring you some championships, you're making, if you're a big market team, $50+ million off a championship season, 100, maybe more. But I do see what you're saying. I'm just trying to weigh what's actually going to happen. And in my mind, this is Steve Cohen with his first chance to actually win over a player who's young. And I think he learned his lesson from the Scherzers and the Verlanders and the big money there. He's going the complete opposite direction, where you get a player who should be in his prime years for a while now. And if David Stearns is into getting a player like that, I think they're able to get him. So anyway, I think are we going to step aside for a sec, or are we going to do the manager news? I'm looking right now to see, because we do have actually 2 moves to make, and we're still trying to get Perry Minasian set up right now, GM of the Angels. So we'll work on him in a sec. All right, so we'll go into a break right now, and then we'll come back. We'll either have Perry, or we'll go over the Marlins getting a new skipper and the Phillies getting a new general manager. That one's interesting too. Hey, we're back here. So I see what you guys are saying. Just to wrap up the Soto conversation, I'm just trying to get your actual prediction. So AJ, I know you think he's not necessarily going to be worth $500+ million in present day value. Cool, get it. But do you think that he ends up with the Mets or the Yankees? Do you think even from an organizational pressure situation that one of those teams is feeling the heat more? Like I was on local news last night on Pix 11 in New York, and it's actually cool sometimes to go on a local news show. And obviously it's not small, it's New York City, but to hear how they're phrasing questions. And that was one of them. They're asking me which franchise feels more heat to land a player like that. And I thought still Yankees by far, based on how reliant they were on him in his first year there, how you brought the player in for a year. This is not a guy who's been in the Mets org. And I think it would be a big smack in the face if the Yankees really want him and the Mets end up outbidding him. It kind of represents a changing in the guard in terms of financial might.
Yeah, I think you're right. I said when the Yankees made the trade for Soto, they were the one team that had to make this trade, and they did. What got them to the World Series? They didn't win the World Series, but I thought they were the one team. When you look at it, they had to make that trade from the fan base, from the players, from everything that was lined up. They had to make that trade. They went out and did it. Give Brian Cashman credit. They have to sign him. I think that there's a little less pressure on signing him because of whatever the number gets to. Do the Mets need to sign him? I don't know. I think the Mets need to do some things because they had a nice run, but whatever it is it worth paying Soto 40 to 50 million if you can go get 3 or 4 other players that make your team better? I don't know. That's what GMs have to weigh. That's why David Stearns was brought in. That's why Brian Cashman gets paid the big bucks, because you have to make those decisions. Do you want one player for 50 million, or do you want 2 or 3 players, 4 players for 50 million?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think the pressure is more on the Yankees, not because they don't have a good enough team, but because they got to where they wanted to get to, which is the World Series. They didn't win, but you can't take Juan Soto out of that lineup. That pressure is there to repeat what they did. And their team is getting older. And ironically, even though he looks like he's old, Juan on this team would start bringing the youth movement. Maybe you have a place where Jason Dominguez starts to actually play. Like, you do have to get younger at some point. They can't just go after Corbin Burns, who's over 30, Max Fried, who's over 30. I'm not sure how old Bregman is, but he's older than Juan Soto. But
I think he's over 30 as well. Yeah.
So
and we got to come back.
So
we got Perry coming through.
I think it's more pressure on him.
Here we go. Perry Minasian joining us right now, leading the front office of the Angels. First time on FT. Perry, great to see you. How you doing? You know the guy above you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. Great to have you on. And I'll give you first off a congrats to the family, because Bro Zach is now in the league, which is a super cool situation. I've heard at least one interview I heard yesterday on Sirius. And actually, if you don't mind, can we start there real quick? Because
yeah, sure.
I know you were pressured on, pulling off a deal at some point with Bro, and I'm sure obviously it'll happen. But apparently, I know not with you guys leading front offices, but there already has been a trade. I know these guys will love the story if you can share it.
Yeah. So I was working for Toronto at the time, he was working for Milwaukee, and we ended up doing a Brett Laurie for Sean Markham swap. And it happened over Thanksgiving. We were at my grandmother's house. We're a big Armenian family, 60 people there. And I was on the phone with Alex Anthopoulos in one room. He was on the phone with Doug Melvin in another. We'd leave the phone call, meet with each other, go back in the rooms, talk on the phone. And the deal ended up happening. So it was really cool. I couldn't be happier for him. He's an outstanding person. Obviously I'm biased. Everybody's really, really excited. My kids are really, really excited. They're expecting better Christmas gifts now. So really fun for them.
That's great. All right. By the way, on that story, how did it go when you two were in person? You're sitting there, maybe even having, a glass of wine or something. It's the holidays. It's like you guys essentially get a day or two where you really can chill a little bit more Thanksgiving and Christmas. Not even.
Everybody's so competitive in this game. It's all day, every day. You try and unplug here and there, but you're basically, when things heat up, you have to be ready to work. So. Working for the two people we work for, who I think you guys both know are awesome individuals. Alex is as good as it gets. Doug Melvin's as good as it gets. So, the rest of the family was pretty upset because we were being pretty rude, going in and out and not sitting down and telling everybody what we're thankful for that year. But at the end of the day, work's work, and we got it done.
All right. So before we get to the Angels, Perry, I want to ask you about Roki Sasaki, who's reportedly going to be posted. And if you can comment at all on what you know about him, the process, everything that you'll get prepped for as an organization to make a pitch.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about specific free agents. Obviously, there's things in place for that. But, starting pitching is definitely an area we want to address. We've made one move, bringing in Kyle Hendricks. We'd like to make another one and add to that group. We've got some young arms coming we feel really good about. So we'll take a look at the entire market from a starting rotation standpoint and hopefully add here soon.
I got to ask you, is the trophy behind you? Is that like a bowling trophy over your shoulder? Is that a fantasy football trophy? What is that thing?
No, I'm in the media room. It's the Nick Adenhart Pitcher of the Year award.
Okay, and the other one, the farther one, the big shiny silver.
The one to the right is Team MVP, which Mike Trout is on it about 20 times. So, so maybe the Mike Trout Trophy.
There you go. Perfect. They're going to rename it soon. All right. So,
That's right.
So let me ask. I got to ask you Angels philosophy here, since we have you on here. You guys rush guys to the big leagues. I don't want to say rush, but you guys push. Maybe push is a better word, right? Obviously Neto got pushed. Shanwell got pushed. Christian Moore would have probably been pushed if he didn't get injured this year. Is that an organizational thing? Is that something you learn from somewhere else in the big leagues? Because most teams at least want to give a guy a year or two before they push him there. You guys nope, you guys are there. Boom. Let's see what you got.
You know what? Philosophically for me, it's all about makeup, right? So growing up in a locker room, I've been in a major league clubhouse for, 35, 36 years of my life. And, I'm a big believer in makeup and, as far as the mental side goes and who can handle it and who can't. So we don't do it with everyone. Obviously, we've done it with some of the young players we have. And the reason we've done that is we believe in the players and we believe they can handle the ups and downs. And, for myself, the discrepancy between the major leagues and AAA is as great as it's ever been. It's not the same game. The speed of the game at the major league level, the velocity they see on a daily basis, the information that they're given, the responsibilities that they have on and off the field are in different levels, obviously different leagues. So whether it's a Zach Nato or a Nolan Shinwell or a Logan O'Hoppe or whoever it may be, they don't check IDs in the dugout, right? So if we feel like you can play and you can help us win games, and over the course of having that experience, and we saw with our young players this year, right? I think you can make the argument all three of them got off to slow starts in April, and as the year went along, they all improved and they all got better. So, for us, we're going to continue to be aggressive with the guys we feel like that are ready for the challenge, and with other players, we'll take our time, and make sure they're in the right frame of mind and physically and mentally they can handle the situation.
How do you develop that? Because you're talking about makeup in the sense that, like, okay, these guys have good makeup, they can handle adversity, is what I'm assuming you're saying, and they know how to like delve in and work hard. But how do you develop that if you don't feel like you have a AAA that you can send like a player to, in the sense that, like, okay, physically we need you to be able to hit 97 plus every single night from the sixth inning on in AAA, but you're getting little poo slingers up there that are throwing change up, slider. How do you develop that as an organization?
Yeah, it's a great question. Again, it goes down to the person, right? And it's understanding, it's setting expectations. Number one, our player development has done an outstanding job since I've been here. Joey Probinski, Joe Krusel, and the rest of the group in setting expectations. And nobody's expecting anybody to hit 400, right? Nobody's expecting anybody to have a 0 ERA. What we're expecting is, you show up every day, you prepare, and you compete, right? And looking, for me at least, building winning teams, for the most part, starts with a young core. And when I arrived, that was something I really focused on and felt strong about. And, we feel like we're at the beginning stages of building that young core with some talented players that, again, from a physical standpoint, can definitely play on the field. But what separates them from the rest is the mentality and how they go about it. And I mean, you guys both know. You guys were both catchers for a long, long time. If you're not committed, If you don't wake up thinking about it, you don't go to bed thinking about it, if you can't handle the ups and downs of a game or of a season, you're not going to last very long. So, for us, our amateur staff's done an outstanding job identifying not only the talent level on the field, but the makeup off the field. And again, we'll continue to be aggressive with our players.
All right, wait, you said Joey Pierzynski. Was he the video guy when I was in Texas? That's your assistant?
Yeah, he's the.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Perry, I'm available. Listen, I can watch videos too. Like Joey. All right? Let's just get that out there. Like he was our video guy. Now what's his title? I got to ask what his title is.
Yeah, so he's our farm director. And
oh my God! Okay, seriously, I got to shoot him a text. I did not. I thought he just fell off the face of the earth, and now he is.
No, and I'll tell you this. So one of the things we do, obviously we don't. We've got some very talented people on our player development staff, but a couple of the people I really lean on, who you guys probably know, Eddie Gordato, Torrey Hunter.
Oh my! Please. I mean, come on, Perry. Come on. I'm available. Listen, Torrey,
let him finish the list. I want to hear the list.
I mean, come on. Yeah, let's keep going.
I don't know. From what I've heard, you guys are doing pretty well on this thing. You might be too expensive for me.
AJ is expensive, and he won't move. AJ, you moving to California? He's the mayor of Orlando.
I was in California on Thursday and Friday. I mean, Perry just
not living there.
Drove right down the 405. Torrey Hunter ain't living in California.
True.
So are you at a point in the organization where you're like, okay, we're good. Like we want people who are committed. Like you said, you wake up and I hit with that. I resonate with that. You wake up and you think about how are you going to make the team better? Are you good with, let's say somebody you draft, somebody's not like they're extremely talented and you put a lot of money into that draft pick, cutting them and saying, beat it. Like you don't like, we misdiagnosed you as a guy and we had a lot of money into you. Are you good with an organization saying, all right, you don't fit into this?
Yeah, I mean, we've had instances. I mean, obviously, some experience with that in the past, right? We've made some adjustments in season with some big name guys that we didn't necessarily thought fit at the time. So that's not something we'll shy away from. We want to take the best team we can. I'm excited for spring training. It's a lot of off season left. We're going to continue to add players and improve. And at the end of the day, it's going to come down to surrounding our young talent with the not only right personnel from a playing standpoint, from a makeup standpoint. And that's something we're really focused on. But again, this is a place, Southern California is an outstanding place to play. I'm biased. I think it's the best place to live in the country. It's expensive, but with that being said, it is absolutely beautiful. And anybody that's played here, at least in the years I've been here, they don't necessarily want to leave. And that says a lot about the area and our fan base and all those things. Now, we haven't won as many games as I've wanted to over the last 4 years. I'm well aware of that. With that being said, we've started to build a young core that we believe we can build around, and I'm expecting very positive things here in the near future.
All right, so let's hit one of the huge pieces, and what we've heard is a guy that's like born leader. Neto had shoulder surgery. Can you give us any insight on what he had, his timetable?
Yeah, so it was towards the end of the year. He made a slide in Chicago, irritated the labrum in the back of his shoulder, ended up wanting to rehab. We talked about it. We decided to go the rehab route for the first couple weeks of the off season just to see how it responds. And it wasn't responding great. Decided to have the surgery. The exciting part is it's behind him. I'm not one for time frames. I'm not going to put any type of time frame on it. Is there a possibility he misses the beginning of the season? Yes. With that being said, I know him. He's going to rehab. He's going to do whatever he can to get on that field. And he's a special player and somebody we feel like we can definitely build around.
Perry, what about the moves you've already made? You already went out and made a trade for Soler. You gave up Griffin Canning, who was supposed to be a big piece for y'all. You went out and got Kyle Hendricks, who's going to be a starter, who you already said. What else is on the docket for the Angels this year? Sasaki, you won't talk about because he's a free agent. But is there other big signings coming down the pipe? Are you looking at trades? An Angels, if I'm an Angels fan, am I looking at you and saying he's going to make trades to improve the club, or is he going to go out and spend Artie's money and improve the club?
That's a great question. We're definitely going to improve. So that's something that that I feel strong on. How we do that is yet to be seen, right? It can be through free agency. This is the first offseason that since I've been here where, for the most part, any trade possibility, anybody that's out there, I do believe we have the prospects to be in those conversations. Now, at the end of the day, do we want to do that? Is yet to be determined. So, but whether it's through trade or free agency, we lost 99 games. There's plenty of areas to improve: rotation, bullpen, lineup, defense, depth. All those things are on the table. We're going to look at every single free agent. We're going to look at every trade possibility and try and figure out what fits and what's going to make us better going forward.
Trout coming off the year that he had with some of the injuries the last few years. How do you see I think the Soler trade's been 2 weeks old now. How do you see the DH situation ironing out or panning out for the rest of the season between the two of those guys?
Yeah, so obviously Mike's had a frustrating 4 years. Yeah, he hasn't been on the field as much. I'll be the first one to tell you that, right? So he hasn't been on the field as much as he's wanted to. This guy, and I don't need to tell you guys, he's a different animal. When he's in the lineup, when he's playing, we're a different team. We need him. So we're still discussing, where that is. Is that in center? Is that in left? Is that in right? Does he DH a certain amount of time? Those are all things that we're still discussing, and we'll see how the offseason plays out. But Mike knows. It's nothing that it's nothing that anybody doesn't know. We need Mike Trout. We need a healthy Mike Trout. We need Mike Trout to not only do what he does on the field, but do what he does off the field. So there's no secrets there. As far as Jorge Soler, looking at the market and seeing what's available from a bat standpoint, we really struggled with power last year. We were 29th in slug, and it was an area where we felt like we needed to improve. Looking at the market and what was available, we thought Jorge really fit. It's 2 years. He's 32 years old. It's an outstanding at bat. There's presence in the box. He can go to the outfield here and there and play some outfield if you want him to. And again, from a clubhouse standpoint, he's A++. So we feel like that was a great fit for us. And just definitely enhance our lineup, and we'll continue to try and lengthen our lineup the rest of the offseason.
Hey, Perry, follow-up question. So Ken Rosenthaler's part of this group as well, put out a report about a week ago in The Athletic saying that there could be concern if Trout was DHing all the time, that he's such a freaking gamer that he's going to be taking swings left and right. How much of a factor, if anything, is that? And even still, like, let's say Trout plays X amount of games at DH, will that have to be a conversation? Like, hey, dude, we got to figure out how to keep you on the field. Yeah. So DH, but careful.
He's an animal, right? And he'll do anything he can to be as good as he can. And I know he's talented. I know there's a certain talent level there, but I think we've all seen talented players, right? What separates him from everybody else is the work. And when it comes to work and when it comes to getting the things he needs to do to feel ready to go for that particular day, it involves swings and a lot of swings. And yes, talking about the DH spot, we've done a lot of homework on that. I've called a lot of players that have DH'd over the years that I've known. And, do you take, how many extra swings over the course of a game do you take DHing relative to playing in the field? And, some would say it's 50 to 100 per at bat, so obviously that adds up over the course of the season. So, for us, he's still talented in the outfield. He can still run. He can still throw. He'll definitely play some outfield. And again, we'll form a plan as we go forward.
Perry, what's your plan with development? Are you? I know you have a history in the minor leagues. You have guys that have done it in the minor leagues. The key to me is development, and we've heard stories about let's take your spring training facility, right? It needs to be updated. It needs to be put into the 21st century. You guys are behind on this, right? Are you guys willing to spend the money to put the Angels at the top of the list and put them where they need to be to develop players? And I'm not talking about the Netos and the Shannawells and the Christian.
No, I understand.
I'm talking about the guys that are a little bit lower prospects that can come up and be productive major leaguers for you guys. What's that plan look like from the outside? If I'm an Angels fan, I say, hey, here's Perry Minasian, our GM. What's he doing to help develop other players than our first round picks?
Yeah, it's a great question. So yes, spring training first and foremost. We've talked about that a ton. Ownership has made the commitment to definitely enhance Tempe. It'll be a state-of-the-art facility. We'll have a hitting lab. We'll have a pitching lab. It's in the process of being redone now. It'll be ready to go for spring training. So nobody's more excited than me for that. And we believe, having a state-of-the-art facility will definitely enhance our ability to develop more players, and one of the things we've been very focused on from a pitching standpoint, and I'll give you a perfect example, Caden Dana, who we feel really, really excited about. And we feel like someone that, was picked in the 11th round, and who we've developed, who made the big leagues at 20 and a half, someone who will come into camp and compete for a job, in February. We need to continue to develop players like that. And, I know where we're ranked. I understand from a system standpoint. I understand the publications. The people that do those, I have all the respect in the world for them. They put a ton of work into it. I think with what we've developed over the last 3-4 years since I've been here, with what's coming, I believe Angel fans will be really happy with what they see going forward.
What kind of conversations, and maybe you can't give us the specifics on conversations, but maybe looking forward, what kind of conversations have you had and are going to have with Anthony Rendon? Because we've seen how the story's gone, and
right.
how has he received the things that you have talked to him about?
I mean, Anthony knows what type of player he is when he's healthy. So we need him healthy. We need him on the field. He knows that. He knows the expectations coming into camp, and we talked about it. He's going to have to come in and show us he can still play and earn the right to play every day. So are we a better team with Anthony Rendon on the field? Absolutely. Do we need a healthy Anthony Rendon that is that dynamic hitter in the box and, one of the highest aptitudes as far as feel for the game playing today? Yes, we need it. He's well aware of that. He's going to do everything he can this offseason to come in ready to go, and we'll see where he's at.
Are you counting on him? My question is, are you counting on him? Because it seemed like at the end of the year, I mean, listen, he's been through a lot, and nobody can gauge pain tolerance or injury status or anything like that. But are you going into 2025 as the Angels' top dog, basically saying we can count on Anthony Rendon? And it sucks if you say no. It sucks because he was such a good player when he was going good.
Right. I mean, we have to have depth. Obviously, I'm not blind to what has happened over the last 4 years with some of our better players. They haven't been on the field as much as we wanted them to, as much as they've wanted to. So depth is really, really important. And to have a player like a Rengifo who can move around, can play second, can play third. We made a trade for Scott Kingery. It's a small trade. It's an under-the-radar trade, but it's somebody we feel like can still help impact the major league team and move around and play second and play short and play third and run the bases. So those are things we'll continue to do, is add depth to this team. We need a deep bench. We need a deep 40-man. We need to hit on a couple minor league free agents. And I think every team would tell you that. So as far as the days of relying on one player to get us to the playoffs, all those types of things, that's not happening. This is baseball. You need a team. First and foremost, we have to pitch, right? So the mound needs to improve. And with that, our catching needs to improve. Our defense needs to improve. It's hard to win games when you don't pitch. So that's the focus, is continue to add to our pitching. But to get there, you have to score runs too, right? You have to be able to do a little bit of everything. So to make the playoffs, and we're a team that we're not going to rely on one player. We're going to build a deep club that can do a lot of different things and win in a lot of different ways. And that's one thing I love about Wash. I'm beyond excited to have Ron Washington with me. I think you guys know him. He loves the game. He understands the game. He knows how to win. And last year for us, and as tough as it was, losing 99 games and not necessarily competing the way we wanted to compete, it was a huge moment for a lot of our guys. And from the experience standpoint, playing a full season, we have a young catcher who we feel like has a chance to be a building block, and someone that, from a makeup standpoint, is as good as it gets. And for him to catch the amount of games he caught, for Wash to keep throwing him out there, even though he was struggling offensively at certain points during the year, and him understanding how important it is for him to be out there, what he does for the pitching staff, all those things, I believe will carry over to next year. So we're going to build a deep team that can win games in a lot of different ways.
Perry, two things before we let you go real quick. One, Kratz hasn't retired. He said he's available. You can sign him at any point. He'll try third base. He might not be any good at it, but he can try to play third. He'll try and play second. He might even try to play center. But, he won't help you win games, but he might not hurt you that much. Okay.
Yeah.
But
I'll tell you what, I'll take the makeup in the locker room. We could use that too.
Okay. All right. And then Wash. I played for Wash in 2013. Okay. And I know what kind of guy he is and what kind of leader he can be. So how happy are you that he's there to lead these young guys and show them, the proper way to play Major League Baseball? Because no matter what you say, there is a right way to do it and there is a wrong way to do it. And Wash is like the perfect guy to kind of thread the needle with young guys and older guys and say, hey, this is how we do it. But listen, and he'll use some words that I can't use on this show.
Right.
This ain't the way we do it.
Right. Yeah, I'm beyond excited to have him with me, and it goes beyond Wash, right? The coaching staff he hired, I believe, I'm obviously biased, but I think it's an excellent staff. When you talk about Erik Young and Jerry Narin and Bo Porter and Ray Montgomery, and I can go on and on with the rest of Barry Enright, Steve Carsey. It's a lot of guys. Ryan Goins is another one who I think Kratzy played with. Don't
forget Jason Nix. Hey, don't forget Jason Nix. The little ball of hate. If you forget him, the little ball of hate will come get you.
Johnny Washington, Tim Laker. Again, I can go on and on. It's a staff that, to me, creates expectations. And when you walk in the room, when you walk in the clubhouse that particular day, you understand why you're there, and you understand what the end game is that particular day. And there's nobody that delivers that message, in my opinion, better than Wash. So to have him with me on a daily basis, to go through the ups and downs with a guy like that, I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else. So I'm excited for the upcoming year and excited for the rest of this offseason, first and foremost. Excited to get to spring and see the new complex, and we'll go from there.
Well, Perry, this was awesome. Thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it. Have a great holiday, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. And I say it to you, especially since it's going to be kind of cool now. I mean, you are truly kind of on the clock at all times now, since you'll have some business to talk about. So Thanks for doing this. Congrats again to the family. Cause come on, that is the coolest news.
Wait, your other brother works in baseball too, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So there's four of us. My older brother's a lawyer. He has his own practice in Chicago. He's top notch. If he wanted to work in baseball, he could, and I believe he'd excel at it. And our number three is the head clubhouse manager in Atlanta. He runs the home side. That's what my father did for years and years. So, and he's, obviously I'm biased with that, but he's as good as it gets in that area. So, yeah, it's a baseball family through and through. So we, I feel bad for everybody else. There's not a lot of stimulating conversations at the dinner table outside of baseball. It is what it is, right?
Yeah. If you like baseball, that is the Thanksgiving dinner you want to get to. So somebody, I know it's a big fam. Somebody, it's got to find a way, right? Oh, I know, friend of a friend. I want to be at the Minasian Thanksgiving table. So right. Perry, thank you so much again for doing this, and good luck the rest of the off season.
Thanks for having me, guys. Talk to you.
Thank you. Cheers. All right, FT fam, we'll be right back. All right, FT fam, we got a lot of great guests coming through pretty soon, but a little toast mid-show. Cheers to Huel for being a part of this episode. Yeah, exactly. Scan the QR code and use code FOUL at HUEL.com.
Is that your cinnamon?
There's a little drink.
Cinnamon bun one?
No, I drank all of those already, so I got to reorder. I'm up to strawberry right now from my multi-pack.
I haven't had strawberry.
The multi-pack is the way to go if you're not going with the black edition. Just throwing that out there.
The black edition's an easy. You're not even trying anything new. They're all going to slap.
Well, it's packing more protein too, but I'm getting some flavor variety, and then I'll, often obviously see what I'm feeling for the day. A little caramel, a little coffee, a little strawberry, etc. So anyway, the goods if you've watched us here for a while. Per bottle basis, cheap. There's a lot more to the website than just the drinks, but the drinks are often where we're going, especially during the show. That's the whole problem here is the food situation for us leading up to the show. So Huel helps to keep us feeling good for the day, 27 vitamins and minerals. And again, FT fam, scan the QR code or go to Huel.com and you can type in the code FOUL, F-O-U-L, unlock a healthier, easier way to eat with Huel, nutritionally complete meals in minutes so you can focus on what really matters. And when we swing back, we will go over the Marlins hiring the last vacant manager spot to be filled here over the weekend. Of course, everything over the weekend. The Yankees manager situation getting a little bit interesting. And we'll also cover the Phillies front office shift in a moment. Hey, check out the FT newsletter, fresh edition this morning. Of course, we hit on the Roki Sasaki topic, which we did at the top of the show here too. Scan the QR code. It is free. Check it out.
I am your general manager.
The beginning of these segments is getting better and better. So I am your general manager. We're going to start with the manager news, and then we'll get to the general manager news. But the hiring from Peter Bendix, who is running the front office for the Marlins, goes to Clayton McCullough. McCullough coming over from the Dodgers organization as their first base coach for the last 4 years. And now he is going to run the Miami Marlins dugout. And before that, by the way, he was a manager in the Toronto minor league system for a bit. Of course, he's taken over a team that's coming off 100 losses in 2023. He's the third Miami manager hired since 2022. He's 44 years old. And I felt like I could have gotten this deal done, 3 weeks ago when his name started popping up. And then you saw a couple names fall out of the mix. And we were all sitting there. I thought it was a great point by AJ, wondering what the hell is taking so long? It's one thing if there's a specific holdup, but it didn't feel like there was one. Maybe it'll come out eventually. But until then, kind of strange. I hope someone asks why it took so long, because it's one thing, even with the Mets, when you knew Mendoza was getting hired, the Mets have to go through more of a background process because they've had some weird situations with their GMs primarily. And I guess one manager had a big issue if you want to look him up too. Yeah, there's a lot of drama there. So I'm good with that. But I know how that process works, guys. It takes several days. And AJ, this one took several weeks past when we thought, I mean, it's not going to matter at the end of the day, but they, I think, get their guy.
They do. I mean, it's obviously who they wanted, but also, I mean, they waited till everyone else decided, and then they could pick anybody else. They could pick the rest of the league if they wanted. They could go after anybody because everyone else had their manager. So I don't know why it took so long. You heard rumors early. Clayton McCullough, congratulations. But there was also things like he turned down other jobs to take the Marlins job. Is there something that he's seeing that no one else is seeing? Very interesting to see when he does his press conference, what he says, why he chose to go with the Marlins.
I think the other jobs he turned down were upgrades from first base coach. I think there was a couple bench coach jobs that he had turned down. I don't know about big league jobs, but I mean, big league.
He was mentioned in the White Sox job, and he was taken out of the running pretty quickly. So, I mean, there was a couple others that he was mentioned in other than this one. So I don't know. I mean, you never know all the story until after the fact, and half the time we don't even know the whole story then.
Clayton and I were drafted the same time. He was drafted by the Indians. He was drafted out of high school, I think. Maybe he was out of college. I forget. But either way, I think it was college. But we crossed paths just a little bit playing against each other. But he became a manager He became a manager when I was still with the Blue Jays organization. I remember them talking about him, saying like, "Oh, well, they love this guy. He is the next, they want him to be the next manager of the Blue Jays." And it was moving that direction. And John Schneider, kind of the now manager of the Blue Jays, kind of leapfrogged him a little bit. And he kind of took a step back, went to other organizations. But his experience is valuable from what he learned with the Dodgers. So does he have the same ability players there? No. Can you start to build an organization that has the same things in mind? Yes. Whether the front office allows them to do that or not, we'll see.
Easy phone call. Kevin Cash, hey, I know you love going out in the boat all off season long. Please, 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 can I come for a day and throw down some beers and just talk to you about how to run the Rays? Because that's essentially what I'm going to be asked to do in Miami. That is the answer. There's some connections here too. And you're right, Kratz. He was drafted out of East Carolina University by Cleveland in the 22nd round. And he had some crossover time in LA's player development system with Gabe Kapler, who's the assistant GM of the Marlins. That probably doesn't hurt the cause. Plus, it sounds like he was very well liked in LA. Obviously, you want a piece of what the Dodgers are bringing to the table if you're going to bring a guy over. I thought it was smart on the White Sox side, too, to bring someone over like Will Venable, who's been around now, Bochy and Chris Young, who's done a great job already. And keep in mind, I know Chris Young was early on in his GM career, but he had worked at the league for a while. So these are just experienced, bright baseball minds. So anyway, props to the Marlins. We'll see what happens. Next up for me, let's go to Preston Mattingly. So Sam Fuld is going to go after his MBA at UPenn. So he was the current GM under Dave Dombrowski. He's going to finish that in 2026. When he's done with that, he's going to be the president of business operations, not baseball operations. So he'll be essentially the president or CEO that many teams have, like a Stan Kasten with the Dodgers is more of the role of what I'm being told. And there are president slash CEOs of most teams, right? Sam Kennedy's been the guy in Boston forever. We can go down the line. But anyway, it's kind of an interesting twist from Sam Fuld. It comes from the baseball background. He's going to pick up the biz background. So that means Kratz, Mr. Philly, 37-year-old Preston Mattingly, who's been known for a while now and has been highly regarded in baseball in general, takes over to work with Sam and to work with Dave Dombrowski and be the GM under Dombrowski, who's going to still call the shots for a while as long as he's with Philly.
Seems kind of like a lateral move for Preston, but I mean, I know the name wise, the name on his business card is an upgraded move, but they're kind of that they're melding all those positions. There's a couple other guys, and I'm forgetting their names right now, that are all in that like assistant GM to GM, because I felt like Sam kind of acted like an assistant GM who would work on some of the minor league development and connect with those guys. Preston's been really pushing that minor league development. I think he was technically an assistant GM, but the head of player development, I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's, as I watch it, as I see them talk, that's the structure that they've built. And I think promoting from within, we've seen some organizations where that doesn't work out well, but the Phillies minor league system hasn't really come into play in the last few years. They've had Bohm come up, they've had Stott come up, but now they have a crop of guys that are supposed to make big impacts. Rojas is kind of, they're not real sure if he's making a good enough impact, incredible with the glove, but they're sitting there. And if there's guys that make impacts, Preston Mattingly is the guy that really has helped change that player development model from the old regime. And it seems like there's good returns so far. But again, just like any prospects, you have no idea what they're going to do until they're actually in the big leagues. And with Dave Dombrowski, they may actually not make the big leagues with the Phillies. They may be on another team.
Yeah, you're almost hoping that most of them don't, since you're hoping that you trade for big players. Well, I mean, you need both, though. Obviously, Philly fans want to keep Aiden Miller, who looks like a hot shot position player prospect. You want to keep Andrew Painter, who looks like he could be an ace in the league for years to come. I do actually disagree with you, though, Kratz. I think it was a pretty big promotion. They have 3 other assistant GMs, so now he's above all of them. He's the GM.
Yeah.
You had Ned Rice, Jorge Volandia, who's been there for a minute now, and then Anirudh Colombia. So those are the 3 assistant GMs. And maybe Mattingly was already kind of above them, but now he's really officially above them and in line to replace Dombrowski, who's not going to do this forever, I presume. I mean, I know he's still having a great time, but how old's Dave?
70
68.
something? 68. But see, when you say those names, Jorge's been there for forever, and he's a baseball, head of president of baseball operations type of guy. His background, his humility, his intelligence, he's that type of guy. And I felt like Jorge handled one quadrant. I don't know who the other guy was. Ned Rice he's still there from the old regime. So he's been doing kind of more of the paperwork stuff. And then Preston has been the player development guy. So it's kind of been like I said, I don't know who the other guy is, Aranda, but they really do a good job of working in tandem together. But with Sam not actually being like the GM in the sense of like, oh, hey, I want to sign with the Phillies. I'm going to call, hopefully Sam Fold, like Cashman was the GM for the Yankees. He would go and make the pitches to the free agents. Dombrowski's doing that. So they do a good job of kind of intermingling and taking that assistant GM role really, really well. And I just feel like he might not have as much to do with player development anymore. And yet he'll still have his hand in it because it's kind of his baby that he built.
Okay. All right, coming up next, we're going to hit the Aaron Boone option situation, which I think is fascinating because the Yankees sound like they're going to make him a lame duck. So we'll get to that. There's some Nolan Arenado trade rumors that are swirling, and then we might have a couple big guests joining AJ out there in the golf course in Orlando. We're just hopping around the league, BetMGM futures. We're going to check out the NL Central and see what we're working with right now. The Brewers favored heading into the offseason here. And again, these are rates that sometimes you can lock in because they are going to change depending on what happens here. Got the Brewers at plus 210, Cubs at plus 275, Cardinals at plus 350, Reds plus 375, Pirates plus 1,000. AJ, easy one for me. I'm looking at the Reds here. I think it's a team that's talented. McLean's coming back. The fact that they're under the Cardinals is freaking crazy because the Cardinals are about to rebuild. We might get to it later that they'll look to trade Arenado. They're going to shed some payroll. Why would they be above the Reds for next year to win the freaking division? That makes no sense to me.
I agree. That's the one. As soon as these odds popped up, the Reds are the one team for me that I was like, whoa, that's what you want to jump on right there. The Cardinals have already said they're shedding money. They don't want to go out and they're not going to make any huge splashes in free agency, and they were not very good last year. They already got rid of some pitchers who were reliable for them. So I think the Reds brought in Tito Francona, Hall of Fame manager, and you're getting McLean back, and they're going to have some good players. I think Ellie will be better. I think some of their pitchers will be better. Excuse me. I think the Reds are the team in this division to look at if you're going to put some money down.
Yeah, I don't know why the Reds aren't even above the Cubs. I don't know what I'm missing, but especially a team that was supposed to be better this year than what they were, a team that going into the 24 season had some really good offense coming off the 2023 season, weren't sure about their pitching. It completely flipped, and you got career years out of Hunter Green. You always have Lodolo lurking. Andrew Abbott is another guy that's going to give you quality innings. Like, there's injury concerns, obviously, because of the history so far. But to me, plus 375 for the Reds, I like that number because there's going to be regression from the other teams. And I just don't know that the Cubs are going to do anything to push it ahead. I think they should. I don't think they're going to do anything. And the Pirates aren't going to push ahead. So to me, it's between the Brewers and the Reds.
First bet offer for you up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you use the code FOUL, FOUL. Download the BetMGM Sportsbook app. Get yourself at least $10 into an account, and then that promo is on if you're a new user. And if the bet falls, it loses. Your bonus bets will be available once your initial wager is settled. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, let's sizzle. We're going to do a couple quicker segments here so we can give ourselves some time for the last 30-ish minutes of the show, see if we can get one or two guests to pop in. So let's do a quick few minutes on Aaron Boone's situation. I mean, it sounds like they picked up his option, and he essentially said there's no combos about anything else right now. So are we really going to have a lame duck status? I know it's kind of protocol for the Yanks at times, AJ, but said this according to Brian Hoke. Boone said there are no extension talks between him and the Yankees at the moment. The team picked up the option.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they want to see what happens. If he wins, he goes out and wins, makes another World Series and wins the World Series, they'll sign him. If he goes out and they have a bad year and let's say they don't win, they have the option to let him go. So I don't hate. I'm so tired of lame duck. You know what? He's the manager of your team. Go out and play for him. What do you mean? You're not going to play for him hard because he only has 1 year left? That's dumb to me. You're going to play just as hard for the guy as if he had 5 years as he has 1 year. So stop with I hate this always a lame duck. Now, maybe in college or something, it's different, but this is the freaking big leagues. Go out and play for yourself and your own pride.
It's not a distraction. Maybe it even helps. Maybe you sit there and you go, well, you know, because I heard a player say one time when a manager got fired partway through the year on a team I was on, he was like, kind of feel like we let him down. Kind of feel like this was our fault. Maybe I don't think that's the decision. I just think it's the right thing to do. There's high expectations on what the Yankees need to do. And if your manager is just floating through space just with 3 more years, you know, that doesn't help anything either. So maybe it creates a sense of urgency and you sit there and you go, all right, we got to play to keep our manager's job. And it has, but I would go with what AJ said. You're playing in the big leagues. Your goal is to make it to the World Series with the manager you have or not.
Do free agents care at all? Does Juan Soto care? Does Roki Sasaki care? They don't care at all. They're just like, yeah, whatever. This guy's here and you might can him and then I'll deal with someone else. You don't think it matters more if he's sitting down on 5 interviews and on 4 of them, they're like, yeah, our dude's locked up long-term, right? Let's say you're Sasaki and they're like, you got Schilt for years. You got Doc for years. You got Boone for a year. Doesn't matter at all. They don't care.
They're not locked in that long. They're not locked. Like, what's Boone going to get? 2 years with a hook? You know, so he would get an extra 2 years here. If you're getting Juan Soto, he's got 13 years. Juan might go through 4 managers and be successful during that time. Like, I don't think that matters. Even Doc's not going anywhere in LA. You're going to the organization that 1 gives you the most money, 2 gives you the most success, and that means what kind of player development you have, who's coming up, are you willing to pay for free agents? That's, to me, as a free agent, that's what I would be looking for. Not if the manager's going to be there for all 13 of my years.
It's interesting because, you know, when Ali Marmol got the extension, John Mozeliak kind of talked like that, as in you don't lame duck people, and then you hear it from here. So it's interesting that you guys and the players don't care, and that's fine. I'm actually kind of on board with you guys now. Like, screw it. Do well, or we'll decide, and we don't want to waste the money for the year after if we end up wanting to make a change. All right, we'll swing right back. We will get to the Cardinals, actually, and Nolan Arenado rumors that are starting to swirl. Is that a tradable contract in everyone's mind? And also, would he say yes since he has a no-trade clause? Be right back. All right, we're back. Wander Franco had a situation, so it's not going to take up a ton of time because for me, not much is changing. I don't think he's ever even going to step foot in the country, let alone playing Major League Baseball, but this does not help the cause. He was arrested today in the Dominican Republic after an altercation during which guns were drawn. He's out on bail, and he's awaiting trial for charges related to sexually abusing a 14-year-old. So you've got another situation popping up. Bad news. Bad news.
He should be hiding. If you're already in this much trouble, like just try to hide and lay low. Like, we don't need guns drawn and all this altercations. Like, you should legitimately almost be hiding in your house and not coming out. I don't know what to say. It's awful news. I mean, depending on what happens with the 14-year-old and that whole trial. I mean, we asked this question the other day of Mark Topkin, and he said no. I mean, the worse this keeps getting, the less the chance of Wander Franco ever playing in Major League Baseball again.
Sad. It's sad. I hope he has people around him to help him, continue to at least start to make better choices, because so far it's not happening. I mean, he's out on bail. He's out on bail right now. Like, exactly what AJ said. Like, let's take a break. Let's get some food. Let's hang out with the family. Like, you might be going to jail for a long time.
Yeah. The other thing to not overlook is it's a different system in DR than it is in the US, the criminal system and all of that. And you should read into it because it's interesting and it's different. But the thing to also keep in mind is even if he does get cleared or only serves X amount of time, and I know he's on a massively long deal with the Rays, and again, I'm just throwing this out there. There's no facts to this, okay? But it's just from reading other people way smarter than me and way more legally inclined than I am. I don't think he's going to be allowed in this country based on what those charges are, whether he serves time or not. So this does not help the cause either. Just something to keep in mind. Like, you're here on a visa and all of that. The country does not have to let you back in. So anyway, we'll be right back. We'll go over spreading rumors, lighter topic, a little more fun. Hate getting into this stuff, but geez, freaking crazy. The rest of the week, we're going to do some top fives, like most likely to not return to a team, some bold predictions, most likely to be traded. This could be a little preview. Nolan Arenado could be on this list, but we'll get your thoughts. He does have a no trade clause. He does have a pretty clunky contract. He's coming off the, I think, worst season of his career. So it sounds like the Cardinals are going to spend the next few weeks feeling out the trade market for Nolan before they make a decision on what they want to do. This coming from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. I believe it was from Derek Gould, who's the dude for that paper. He's very locked in. Arenado had a 101 OPS plus, so he's about a league average hitter this past season. 16 homers, 71 runs batted in, 2.5 WAR in 152 games. Not a Gold Glover anymore, still plays a nice third base. What do you think happens here? Because, AJ, he's owed $74 million over the next 3 seasons, and he's entering his age 34 season.
He stays unless the Los Angeles Dodgers call. Maybe the Angels, but I mean, he's an LA guy. He's a West Coast guy. I think those are the two, and I've heard from people that is somewhere he would be open to going to. One of, preferably the Dodgers, clearly, or the Angels, but I think he stays because who's going to take on that contract? Who's going to make that trade? Listen, Nolan Arenado was a great player for a long time. But if you look at his numbers this year, the power kind of went away from him and the defense went down. And those are the two things that he had. And right now he doesn't have either one of those as well as he did. So I think he stays. I think he's there in St. Louis and he finishes out his contract.
I would agree, except for the fact that they're only paying him. His contract technically is only 27 this year and then 22 next year because the Marlins are still paying $5 million each year.
Rockies. Yep.
I'm sorry. Not the Marlins, the Rockies. The Rockies are still paying $5 million each year, so that kind of brings it down some. I started looking up Matt Chapman's numbers when he had a down year with the Blue Jays. I mean, you're talking about a guy that was a free agent and had a tough time finding a spot, and he had a 4.4 WAR in Matt Chapman in his down year, essentially the same OPS plus, and he was 4 years younger, and he had a tough time finding a multi-year deal. I just think they're going to have a tough time finding a spot for Arenado to land, and I still think he's going to have an uptick in his power. I think if he shows he has some power in the first half, possibly the Cardinals will be willing to eat some of that money at the trade deadline, but he's got to reprove it with the bat.
Yeah, that's a good take. I mean, he's going to play this season, and this could be a midseason trade. The Cardinals could do that with a few of these guys. I think they could have some trouble. I think the guy who's got value, who I haven't seen pop up as much, I don't know if I'm missing a report where they spoke to him already, but Sonny Gray, and I know he has most of these guys have no trade clauses.
He has no
Sonny
trade
Gray's
clause.
I know, but he's got value. And the team that keeps popping up is Atlanta, because they say he would go to a spot like that because I think it's closer to home. I think is he in Tennessee?
Yeah.
I mean, he was a Vandy guy, so you get yourself a little closer to home. I could see that one happening if you're the Cardinals. And then if you're a bad team this coming season, which definitely could be the case, but you have some good performers like Arenado and even potentially a Wilson Contreras, who we've talked about, then maybe you get deals like that going down. But you got to talk the guys into it. Is it tougher to talk a guy into waiving a no trade clause during the season in your mind? Or for a guy like Arenado, you're going to say, hey, we're not a playoff team. Do you want to win in the twilight of your career, where he's got maybe I know he's got 3 years left on this deal, so maybe 3 or 4 years left in his career when he gets to the upper 30s. Do you think it'll be tough to talk him out of that, AJ, at any point during the season?
No, I told you. I think if it's the right place, he'll go. He doesn't want to lose. But, I mean, you talk about Wilson Contreras, though. Wilson Contreras' value was because he was a catcher with an 800 OPS. As a first baseman with an 800 OPS or DH, he's a dime a dozen. I mean, there's a lot of those guys out there. So, I mean, I don't know what the Cardinals are doing. I'm not in with Chaim Bloom and John Mozeliak when they have these meetings. But to me, you're kind of hurting values. I don't think they're going to trade Wilson Contreras, but unless he hits a lot as a first baseman and DH, you kind of cost yourself the value. Because again, Arenado's value is down, so you're not going to trade him. You're going to want his value to be up. And then you mentioned Wilson Contreras, but if he's playing first base DH, he's going to have to hit a lot to be valuable. Yeah,
but he hit a lot this past season. Do you think that if he gets off a position where he hasn't been successful, he could be even better?
I mean, maybe, but I think that at first base you got to bang. You really got to bang. And his value, again, was as a catcher. As a catcher that could have an 800 OPS, that's a different value than a first baseman, at least to me.
Okay.
I agree.
The other portion that we didn't get to, because I know we covered Contreras a bit last week, is Jordan Walker, and I'm still very firm that he needs to be a first baseman long term. I know they're going to keep running him out there in the outfield, but I think you're doing a disservice to him too. I don't see outfielder.
Yeah, but he's got to hit. He hasn't hit enough, so why would they waste their time?
You're saying he's not going to hit enough to be at first?
He hasn't yet, so why would they take him out of that role?
To me, this is a little, I don't know, this has like an Eloy Jimenez kind of situation to it, where you're like, this player does not belong in the outfield. So you're saying because he's not hitting as much, they're going to put him in Alcatraz in the outfield where he doesn't deserve to be there based on his glove? I mean, he's been trying to learn it, but it's not good enough. It's a bad outfield.
First base isn't that easy.
And he's still athletic. He's still athletic, and he's still young. To me, if you're trying to win a World Series and this dude's banging, you got to get him in the lineup, then yeah, you talk about moving him to first. They're rebuilding. They can't figure out where anybody plays in their positions as a Cardinals. It's everybody's moving from here to there to here to there, trading guys that are versatile, all that stuff. To me, you keep him left. Like, the worst thing that can happen is he could end up being a 26-year-old who never panned out in left field, but he learned he was comfortable for those years in a position that he was working at, and his bat came around. You just move him to first just because his body profile says, or his outfield profile says, he shouldn't be in left field. There's a lot of bad left fielders out there that are way less athletic than him. So to me, I give him the shot to stay in left field. If I were him, I would say I want to stay in left field. I don't want to go to first base. Everybody thinks you can just change everybody to first baseman. Oh, that catcher can hit first base. oh, the third baseman's not good enough at third, first base. Like, stay out there as long as possible.
So what are we thinking about the Cardinals this offseason? Because they've been pretty clear cut that they're going to take a step back. But what are they doing?
Trading Helsley, that's their biggest piece.
That's a lock.
But that's a big piece. Probably the second best
piece.
Reliever that's available in the market in the sense of, trade reliever. Obviously, Devin Williams is better, but Helsley's that guy, and there's going to be bidding for it. They're going to get a lot of value for him in his last year, but they're
Okay. All right, we're waiting for some guests that are coming through, so we'll be right back on FT, and hopefully Joe Mauer comes through soon.
Couple questions here. Would they move? I mean, Orlando would be great. We'd love to build a ballpark for you guys and be the Orlando Rays. You could play at Disney for a couple years, have the lockers with no seats in them. I mean, the Rays have done that before. So would they move? And Oakland's wide open, right? Oakland would love to welcome you guys out there. I mean, the Oakland Rays in the AL East would be amazing for travel, but Major League Baseball's never really cared about that. So, I mean, you can fly cross country every third day and be like, yeah, look at this. It's an easy schedule for the Rays.
I don't think MLB would want to put a team in Oakland when they just endorsed the current team to leave, right? But that
you just said, though, common sense doesn't really fall hand in hand sometimes. So, it's a ready-made ballpark for them.
Well, yeah, it's great condition too, right? I mean, it'd be hard to imagine moving into a worse place, right? And they could somehow. I think Montreal I thought was a very legitimate option. Then just doing some reporting found out that's unavailable. They're doing a massive construction project there, ironically, on replacing the roof. Durham wondered about that. Then the Durham Bulls, obviously a very successful AAA team, they came out and said that they're willing to help their parent, but they can't allow them to play there the whole season. Obviously, that would disrupt their own schedule too much. So, I mean, could they move? I guess. And if it was a 3-year thing versus a 1-year thing, maybe that makes it even more so. But I think the initial comments from the commissioner provide the best guidance, which is his preference. And he said they're planning to do everything they can to make it work to keep them local, because you do have a fan base here you don't want to disengage, right? And make all the jokes you want about it's 3 guys or whatever. Nobody cares, et cetera, et cetera. But this is a team that does get good radio ratings, does get good TV ratings. And they don't want to kind of cut off that fan base and then come back when this new stadium's built in 3 years and say, oh, yeah, remember us. Yeah, come back, support us. And so if there's some way to kind of keep that continuity, I think that would be the preference. But, again, coming back to, is the Trop back in play or not, or are you looking for a 3-year home is really a major issue here.
Ohtani. I mean, you guys were talking about it earlier on the show. I think Ohtani's contract is probably going to go down as one of the best contracts in sports history. And it might sound kind of crazy to say because they paid him $700 million. And how could you make more money on that? But the way it was uniquely structured and the visibility that he's brought in them and the extra revenue that he's been able to get them in the short term when they're only paying him $2 million has had a tremendous impact on the business of the Dodgers. And now it's been reported that they're making upwards of $600 million a year in annual revenue, which is far more than any other team in Major League Baseball.
All right, in the weeds, AJ, are the Rays going to have a problem beyond figuring out their temporary home? I mean, the show definitely does not hit politics, but when it does trickle into the future of a franchise, we're going to at least report the news and see what's going on here. So Colleen Wright has been on with us before. She does a fantastic job reporting on the ballpark situation. You can see more of her work on TampaBay.com. She said the Rays stadium deal, like the new one, not what they're dealing with right now, the one that's supposed to be nice and brand new and create a little village in the St. Petersburg area. She said it's in trouble. Hurricanes delayed votes on bonds that would pay for a new stadium. Then Pinellas voters, that's the county, elected 2 deal skeptics to the county commission. Their being sworn in could make up a new majority that could kill the deal. Whew. That's not good.
No, it's not. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it's a little scary if you're a Rays fan right now, because we all thought this. We all didn't think it was done, but we all thought that this was as close to being done as possible. And then here you go. Now these things happen. So I hope it gets done, because if not, we're going to have the Orlando Rays, baby.
Or they should still go to Tampa, in my mind. I understand they're trying. And St. Petersburg's nice, but we've talked about this quite a bit. It certainly could get ugly. So both the city and the county have until March 31st coming up to issue the bonds. If the county commission votes to not do so, the current deal improved in July could fall apart. Whoa. That's why I feel like when we covered this recently, it was kind of written as if it's done and you're getting the positive press and all of that. And then all of a sudden it could swing back again. So never believe it until what? You see all the shovels, or even beyond that, you see the shovels and they're really constructing on a place. That's probably your indicator. Yeah. Breaking ground.
Yep.
Okay. So to
we
be
ain't seen a
continued.
shovel hit the ground in Oakland yet, have we? I mean, in Vegas.
No, we have not. We have not. We haven't gotten any info.
They're farther away.
They are.
They're farther than the Rays are away.
And with the Rays situation, it could get pushed back even if they do get a new ballpark because of the devastation there in terms of the hurricane damage. So it could be another year too. That's been talked about. So either way, we have 2 teams that have been in the headlines for ballpark situations for like 2 decades. And to me, it still continues to be a question mark. We'll continue to cover it as we get more news on the topic. Let's get to some fan questions here from the YouTube chat. And if you're watching right now and you'd like to ask some, subscribe to the YouTube channel, jump in the live chat. Dave is going to start. What are the posting fees for Sasaki, and is his first year salary open? No, his first year salary is going to be the league minimum. That's the whole thing here, is that you pay the bonus. And then I'll tell you, the contract for a Japanese player, if it's under 25 million, which is going to be way under that, then you pay 20% of the contract value. So let's say a team musters up $10 million, which sounds like close to the most that you'll see from a team. If there's the January signing period, then that team pays an extra $2 million. Now, in normal life, this is massive money. In baseball money, this is literal pebbles in the office that they scrape off the floor. So again, everybody's in play. The money doesn't matter. Some people have asked also about the taxes. And actually, in this case, AJ, I don't think that matters at all. They're like, well, some places have higher tax rates on his salary. I'm like, I don't think he's coming here to save a few $100,000 on one deal versus another in another state. I think he's coming here with the long-term plan. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're the Rangers and you're going, hey, we have a $10 million signing bonus to give you, and ours is going to go further than the Dodgers 10 mil. It's not like that in my mind with this guy.
No, he's coming to where he can win. I mean, I feel like, or he's most comfortable.
Or he would have waited.
No, but why wait for what? I mean, he can come over.
I'm saying if he cared about money, he would have waited till he's 25 and gotten $400 million.
He doesn't care about the money. He knows he's going to get paid in one way or another, so he's not worried about that. Much like when Ohtani came over, he knew he was going to get paid. Now, Sasaki is not going to be on Ohtani level to start with, but if he goes out and wins a couple World Series or wins a Cy Young or whatever it is, his money will be there eventually. So he's coming over because he wants to challenge, and I'm all for it. Come on, bring the best players over. Let's go.
Nicholas says, realistically, does Seattle have the international pool money to sign him? How does using the 2025 money affect an MLB team? As far as I know, there's more money available in 25 because a lot of the 24 international money has been committed already. So he could technically wait to be posted until January 15th and get himself a little extra money. It wouldn't make too much of a difference. So I could see that happening, guys, where he waits. Because once you get posted, you have 45 days. He'd still have plenty of time. If he gets posted on the 15th and says, I want to sign in the next week, he'll sign. And you'll still have plenty of time before spring training for him to come over and be latched on with his new team and maybe get himself an extra few $1 million. That part won't matter. Choosing the location is a big deal, but waiting a few weeks to get an extra couple $1 million could happen, Kratz.
and this doesn't really hold up the free agent market. It's
No.
not like, well, if we get Sasaki, like we can't get Burns, we can't get Fried. Like he's kind of off on his own little island here, and whenever he decides to go, it should be a quick signing period. And I don't know why he wouldn't wait till that January 15th date. I'm not sure the ins and outs of it. Like, why would you not wait? Because every team's going to have a little bit of extra money to throw into that signing bonus pool.
Yeah, he should wait. I don't know. We haven't gotten much more info, but it does make sense that he would wait. Question from Steven. Angels should go the route of the Royals last year, get 2 solid B-tier pitchers to the playoffs. I guess more of a statement, but thoughts on that? It sounded like the focus for Perry when we spoke to him before was on adding more pitching this offseason. That sounded like the number one. Like, hey, I got Soler. Here's my 40-homer bat. That is definitely a play for offense. And then the rest is the same situation they've had for a while. I mean, this team usually fades late with pitching and with depth in general.
True. They need pitching. They need pitching. They need guys that can give them quality innings. They need relievers. They need everything. The offense is coming if you look at Neto. But he also said, you know what? We have some pitchers in the minor leagues that are coming. So Perry knows better than we do of the Angels' depth and what they have coming, but they definitely need pitching at all facets, starters and relievers. They need to figure that out. Now, can they do that with lesser-known guys? Possibly, but at some point you got to make the big deal because the Angels always strike big, it seems like, in the position player, but they miss on the hitters. On the pitchers.
Yeah, maybe this could be a case where Perry's like, hey, Artie, we need pitching. We need pitching. They go after Garrett Cole like they did before, and they miss, and then they're like, pivot. Let's get another position player. I'd be here for that. You know, they're like, oh, hey, let's go after Corbin Burns. Let's go after Max Fried. What? We missed on him? Alex Bregman. Here we go. There's our depth at third base.
I know you're saying that half jokingly, but I also will say, I mean, they technically need help at most positions. And third base is up there for sure, right? I mean, I think
29.
Perry keeps pushing us towards the fact that they're not going to rely on Rendon, and it's more of a we'll take what we can get, and he'll be part of the depth. So if they do have a chance to get a full-time third baseman, I think they'll do it. I actually could see Artie spiting him, Kratz, and to Rendon and being like, here's Bregman. So you'll be on the bench and you'll play sometimes. Maybe you'll be a utility guy for us now. I don't know. It's ugly in my mind. So, all right, let's step aside again. I'll take another question during the break for the YouTube crowd. All right, question from Hyro. Thoughts on Mookie at shortstop? My take is get him to second base. Shortstop will be the physically demanding position. Offensive numbers will fall. I don't know about that, but I mean, I do think he'll be a better second baseman, and it is probably a little less of a toll on the body. AJ, you weren't on the day that they made that announcement.
How about you just keep him in right field? They have a
but
second base.
I know, but they announced Brandon Gomes said they're leaning towards it. You think that they won't do that?
Why? Just go get a shortstop. You have Tommy Edman already in there. You have Lux. I mean, you have Muncy at third. You have Freeman at first. Just keep Mookie in right field. Why are we – this isn't Little League where you get to pick what position you play. Like, I mean, just stick out in right field, and that's where you're the best. Just let's stay there. For me.
No, I don't hate that. I think he's a great right fielder and would work well there. I think he's fine. I think he can play a good second base. To me, does this sound at all like Mookie wants to play in the infield more than the outfield? Do you guys get that vibe at all? Why are they announcing that? No? You think they're just telling him, hey, dude, we want you in the infield? Like,
this isn't Little League. You don't get to pick where you play. This isn't Little League. You don't get to pick where you play.
Maybe there's one person that does get to pick. Maybe it's Mookie.
Shohei gets
nobody
to pick.
can do this.
DH and pitcher.
How many right fielders can go and play in the infield? That's why we don't talk about it. Like, how many outfielders are going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go play some middle infield. Like, it's like catchers. Well, how many catchers do you ever hear changing positions? Like the one dude that I always feel like is super athletic enough to do it, JT Realmuto, he's not just going to go play second base. Like, we don't have like Craig Biggio style players. Like, it's rare. So I love that they're talking about it. To me, where's that value? Does that make them the best team overall? And we talked about that the other day.
Yeah, and to me, I was like, why even say anything until you figure out what your offseason looks like? Who are you signing, right? I mean, if you end up signing another outfielder or two, then okay, the conversation is there. To me, it was a little bit, I know I talked about this last week, of an inclination that, Gavin Lux might be more of a utility player to start the season. And they decide to have Mookie and maybe sign Adames. Because I think that's going to be their biggest money move of the offseason is signing Adames. They're not signing Soto in my mind. Sure, they're going to get Sasaki. That doesn't cost anything. So anyway, be right back.
Are they done? Is everyone done?
Hey, we're back, and we're going to see maybe AJ if we can.
Hey, everyone's coming in right now.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I can run outside. If you guys give me 30 seconds, let me run outside and see if I can grab.
Yeah,
somebody.
run out.
All
Run
right, I'll
out.
be right
We
back.
can take over. Okay.
Give me 30 seconds.
No problem. Live shows. So we'll see if he can grab Joe Mauer or Gary Sheffield or Ken Griffey Jr. is out there. We've got about 10-ish minutes left in show. And in the meantime, we do have a little soundbite from Brewers manager Patrick Murphy about Sal Frelick winning the Gold Glove. And you have to watch the appreciation that a manager has for his player. Here it is.
Sal, amazing what a few unnecessary dives and purposeful banging into the wall can do for a player. Thought you'd be too busy with classes at Brandeis University to even receive this award. The epitome of your year was your unnecessarily leaping versus the Angels at the end of the game on a routine fly ball, making it look like you robbed the home run. So I have to do that to him, you know what I mean? And that was my way of congratulating him on the Gold Glove.
Did you respond with the middle finger emoji?
Yeah, how did it respond?
No, he said it was awesome, really cool. Some of your teammates were here, Johnny Bench.
Oh, there you go.
That was an age joke. You know? Yeah. How old is Johnny Bench?
I have to Google. Man, he's got to be 80 at least, I think.
So he's trying to get, it's the first time he's tried to zing back at me, you know. So it was just unbelievable, you know. And Sal's, he's so beloved, and I gave him such a hard time. I used to tell him, like, Sal, why are you doing these crossword puzzles? You need to be doing graduate school applications. You're going to be out of the game very soon. You're going to need a master's degree. Brandeis is a great school for you. It's right in the area, you know. And he just looked at me like, I want to kill you, you know.
That is incredible. That soundbite is as good as it gets in so many ways. And by the way, Johnny Bench is 76 years old and Pat Murphy is 65. Actually, only 11 years apart, but a great zinger back to his manager. And to me, more of that, please. I know that's not how most managers and players speak with each other, but I think that more of them should talk to each other that way, because I think it creates like a comfortable, friendly vibe where you can have some chemistry mixed with business. You can say this much better than I can, but I don't see that often. And sometimes you do have like the very formal manager and you would never know if he's kidding or not in a weird way. You know what I'm saying? Like it feels a little bit more like eggshells. And with Pat, it sounds like the opposite, yet he obviously can still be a G and say, yo, we need to get down to business here.
He commands respect. That's it. Like, and he did that when he was a bench coach. And that text thread that he was sending to Sal Frelick is exactly how Murph talks. He hasn't changed a bit since he has become a manager. Clearly, by the difference is now you're just getting to see how he is. Yes, he's changed from when he was a college head coach to being a pro manager, but this guy, he commands the room, and he does it differently than, say, people back in the 90s, managers back in the 80s, even in the early 2000s, guys who didn't want to be your friend. And I don't know that that Murph wants to be your friend, but I know one thing he constantly will text me when I'm talking to him about stuff. He's like, well, I don't want to do something like that unless it's going to help somebody out. He's in a stage of his life where he is giving to people and he is getting the most he can, or trying to get the most he can out of people. And now he's doing it as a manager. And he's not like, he never pursued the managerial job. He just is who Pat Murphy is. And these guys have clinged on to this. And it is really a testament to him, but also the leaders on the team, that they can go out and do what they do and have a great time doing it.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make sure the world heard that, or at least our FT world heard that, because that was yesterday. He's running a camp. A quote like that can completely get passed over, and that's gold. More of that in our game, please. And also, Pat Murphy can successfully run a very, very successful franchise, right? Or it can take over a team and an organization that's had a lot of playoff appearances. And I know you can definitely criticize how they're doing in the tournament. There's no doubt about that. They need to be a more consistent winner in the playoffs. But he took over a team that had good roots to it. And I would say he exceeded expectations for year one. This team ran away with the National League Central.
What does Pat Murphy need to change? You know, his sarcasm. His sarcasm is going to get the Pete Alonso home run that knocked him out of the playoffs and not go over the fence. Like, hey, if you weren't so sarcastic, Devin Williams wouldn't have thrown the best pitch, possibly the best pitch in baseball, to Pete Alonso. Like he would have been like, no, we gotta be more serious and throw more fastballs and not be one of the most successful National League teams. For a while, they were going for the National League's best record. Like, it works. And to me, this is the new age of managing. This is a new age of just, in general, dealing with people. Like, you don't have to be hard-nosed as the leader of the team, as the manager or the head coach of the team. You need to be there for your players and they have to know that you have their back, and they'll run through a wall for you.
Yeah, well said. And hey, last minute of the show here. I actually just want to honor Veterans Day. We didn't have time. The golfers are too slow. That's why baseball has a pitch clock now. But anyway, I'll read Mike Trout's tweet. So he said, honoring the brave men and women who've served our country this Veterans Day, your courage, sacrifice, and dedication means everything. And AJ, I mean, we got 30 seconds, but the tournament you're at is all about that as well.
100%. Folds of Honor, great organization. It gives scholarships to kids who lost their family members in the field of battle. Look it up if you don't know it. It's an unbelievable organization. On this Veterans Day, I got to jump out of a plane with guys who tried to give up their life for me and our freedom and all of us. So the least I could do was to honor them by doing what they asked me, which was jump out of a plane. But listen, the veterans are what make this country stay safe, make it go around. So thank you to every veteran out there.
Yes, agreed. Thanks, FT fam. See you Tuesday. All right, FT fam, watching on YouTube, let's slap, and also please support everything we're doing. So just hit the follow, the subscribe, not just on YouTube, but all the social platforms, the whole deal. I'll finish up on another question or two, and then we've got Dodgers territory at 3 o'clock Eastern time. Today is Roki Sasaki day, okay? We went from 12:30 Eastern fair territory talking about Sasaki with Kyle Glazer, who's really smart in the topic, into this show starting it off with that topic. I mean, this guy has the potential to be an ace in our sport for a long time. He's going to cost essentially nothing in baseball terms. You're going to want to talk about it. After this, of course, Dodgers territory is going to be all over it. And then we have Baseball America Hot Sheet. And what do you think we're going to start the show off with? Anyone? Just throw it out there. Any guesses?
Willie Adames.
Roki Sasaki. So I'll give you one more question from Nicholas, who had asked the earlier question about the international signing money. He said a follow-up signing Sasaki, then would it cost the Dodgers or really any team money in 2025 for other international prospects? The answer is yes. Whenever he gets posted, so if it's in December, I think the deadline's December 15th. Otherwise, there's a January 15th. international signing period, then whichever team signs him will have less money to sign others. You can trade for a little international money, but the thing you should know is this is a guy that's so worth it that even if he's the only one you end up signing during the international signing period, it is worth it. But yes, you would have a few less people that you add to your organization during that time period. And any team of the 30 would take that trade off. If you told any team right now, you pick up the phone and you say, hey, you will sign no one else during this international signing period. Do you want Roki Sasaki? They would be like, where are you? I will be at your front door.
Easy. Instead of a 16-year-old out of the Dominican, you can have a proven product that's 23 years old and ready to join your big league team.
Who's the ace of Japan with MLB level stuff. They've already graded his stuff out when he pitched in the World Baseball Classic. It will play. You know, will the arm stay intact? Whatever. For that price, it's just I don't want to say who cares, but it's so cheap. This guy's going to be worth it after 5 starts for what he costs. So anyway, we'll see everyone on Tuesday on FT. Dodgers territory coming up next with Alana and Clint. I'll be back on Baseball America Hot Sheet in 30 minutes. Hit up the Baseball America YouTube channel and we'll talk prospects.